Commander Jake Morrison stared at the view screen as his ship, the New Horizon, drifted silently through space near Proxima Centauri. This was humanity's first journey beyond their solar system, and every crew member felt the weight of history on their shoulders. Jake had dreamed of this moment since he was a child watching the stars from his backyard in Ohio. "Commander, we're picking up something on long-range sensors," called out Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez from her position at the communications station. Her voice carried excitement mixed with nervous energy. Amy had volunteered for this mission despite her family's concerns about leaving Earth behind. Jake moved closer to her station. "What kind of something, Rodriguez?" "It's definitely artificial, sir. Metal composition moving in a controlled pattern. It's not one of ours." Amy's fingers danced across her controls, trying to get a clearer reading. The object was still too far away to see clearly, but its energy signature was unlike anything in human databases. Dr. Kevin Walsh, the mission's science officer, looked up from his instruments with wide eyes. "Commander, if Amy's readings are correct, we're looking at our first proof that we're not alone in the universe." The bridge fell silent except for the quiet hum of ship systems. Captain Lisa Bennett, Jake's second-in-command, stepped forward. "Orders, sir?" Jake took a deep breath. Earth Command had prepared protocols for this exact situation, but no amount of training could prepare someone for the real thing. "Take us closer, but keep our distance. Amy, try to establish communication. Kevin, I want everything you can tell me about that ship." As the New Horizon moved closer, the alien vessel became visible on their main screen. It was sleek and silver, about twice the size of their ship, with design elements that seemed both beautiful and strange. Strange symbols glowed along its hull in patterns that shifted and changed. "Commander, they're scanning us," Amy reported, her voice tight with tension. "Their scan is much more advanced than ours. They're learning everything about our ship." Kevin's instruments were going crazy with readings. "Sir, their technology is far beyond ours. Their power source alone is something we can't even identify. We're dealing with a civilization that's probably thousands of years ahead of us." Jake felt a mix of excitement and worry. This was the moment humanity had wondered about for centuries, but they were clearly the less advanced species in this meeting. "Amy, broadcast on all frequencies. Use the universal mathematics approach we practiced." Amy nodded and began transmitting a series of mathematical sequences, starting with prime numbers and moving to more complex equations. It was humanity's best guess at how to communicate with an alien intelligence. For several minutes, nothing happened. Then the alien ship began moving toward them, its movement smooth and purposeful. Jake felt his heart rate increase as the gap between the ships closed. "Commander, we're receiving a response," Amy said, her voice barely above a whisper. "It's not mathematical, it's in English, sir." Everyone on the bridge turned to stare at her. "That's impossible," Kevin muttered. "Put it through," Jake ordered. A voice filled the bridge, clearly artificial but speaking perfect English with no accent. "Human vessel, you should not be here. This is not possible. You were supposed to be gone." Jake exchanged glances with Lisa before responding. "This is Commander Jake Morrison of the Earth ship New Horizon. We come in peace. We're explorers from the planet Earth." There was a long pause before the alien voice responded, and when it did, it sounded different somehow, more disturbed. "Earth. Yes. We know of Earth, but you should not exist. The records show you were eliminated long ago." The word sent a chill through everyone on the bridge. Kevin looked up from his station with a pale face. "Commander, eliminated doesn't sound like a friendly term." "What do you mean eliminated?" Jake asked into the communication system. "We're very much alive. Our planet is healthy and our people are thriving. This is wrong. The silence protocol was supposed to. You should not have achieved space travel. You should not be here." The alien voice was becoming more agitated with each word. Amy looked at Jake with confusion clear on her face. "Sir, what's a silence protocol?" Before Jake could answer, Kevin called out urgently, "Commander, they're powering up weapon systems." Alien ship began to glow brighter, and energy readings spiked on human instruments. Jake felt time slow down as he realized they might be about to die in humanity's first contact with alien life. "Amy, transmit this message immediately," Jake said quickly. "We are peaceful explorers. We mean no harm to anyone. We just want to learn and make friends." "Transmitting now, sir," Amy replied, her fingers flying over her controls. The alien ship stopped powering its weapons, but the voice that came through their speakers sounded shaken. "Friends? You speak of friendship? But the records, the council, decided this cannot be happening." "What council?" Jake asked. "We don't understand what you're talking about. This is our first time leaving our solar system. We don't know about any protocols or councils." There was another long silence. When the alien voice returned, it sounded different again, more formal and careful. "Human Commander Morrison, I am Navigator Zeth Cole of the Xanathi Empire. I must report this encounter to my superiors immediately. You have created a situation that will require the attention of the Galactic Council." "Galactic Council?" Lisa whispered. Jake nodded at her, then spoke to the alien. "Navigator Zeth Cole, we would be honored to meet with your Galactic Council. We're eager to join the galactic community and contribute however we can." "Join?" The alien voice sounded almost shocked. "Humans do not join. Humans were supposed to be a closed chapter in galactic history." Kevin looked up from his instruments. "Commander, their ship is moving away from us rapidly. They're leaving." Jake watched the alien ship retreat on their view screen. "Zeth Cole, please don't leave. We have so many questions. We want to understand." "Commander Morrison," came the alien voice, now sounding distant as their ship moved away. "I suggest you return to your homeworld and prepare your people. The council will need to decide what to do about your existence. This encounter will change everything." "Wait," Jake called out, but the alien ship had already disappeared into faster-than-light travel, leaving the New Horizon alone in space. The bridge was quiet for a long moment. Finally, Lisa spoke. "Commander, what just happened?" Jake stared at the empty space where the alien ship had been. "I'm not sure, Lisa, but I don't think it was good. Amy, record everything that just happened and prepare a message for Earth Command. Kevin, I want every detail about that ship and their technology analyzed." "Sir," Amy said quietly, "they seemed more afraid of us than we were of them. Why would an advanced alien species be afraid of humans?" Jake shook his head. "I don't know, but we're going to find out. Set course for Earth, maximum speed. Our people need to know what we've learned, and we need to prepare for whatever comes next." As the New Horizon began its journey home, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that humanity had just stumbled into something much bigger and more dangerous than they had ever imagined. The alien's words echoed in his mind. "You should not exist." What did that mean? And what was this Galactic Council that apparently knew about Earth but thought humans were gone? One thing was certain. Humanity's quiet existence in their corner of the galaxy was about to end. The question was whether they would survive what came next. On the distant world of Zerion Prime, Administrator Vextar stood before the towering crystal screens of the High Assembly Chamber. His forearms trembled slightly as he prepared to deliver news that would shake the foundations of galactic civilization. The assembled representatives of 100 different species waited in silence, their various forms creating a rainbow of colors and shapes in the vast hall. "Honored council members," Vextar began, his voice carrying through the chamber's translation systems. "I must report an impossible event. The species known as humans, recorded as extinct for over 3,000 years, have been encountered by one of our patrol ships." The chamber erupted in chaos. Species that had lived in harmony for millennia began shouting and arguing in dozens of different languages. Some representatives stood on their seats while others waved tentacles or appendages in disbelief. Chief Archivist Muldoon, an ancient being whose crystalline body held the memories of 10,000 years, slowly rose from his position. His voice cut through the noise like a blade. "Silence. All of you. Silence now." The chamber fell quiet. Muldoon's reputation for wisdom was known throughout the galaxy, and when he spoke, everyone listened. "Administrator Vextar," Muldoon said carefully, Are you certain of this report? The records clearly show that Earth was sterilized during the Great Cleansing campaigns. Vextar's skin changed color slightly, a sign of nervousness in his species. Honored archivist, our patrol ship's commander transmitted clear images and communication records. The humans not only survived but have achieved interstellar travel. They made contact near the Proxima Centauri system. Meanwhile, back in human space, Captain Danny Cooper was leading Earth's second contact mission aboard the vessel Pathfinder. Earth Command had rushed to prepare a more formal diplomatic approach after Jake Morrison's shocking encounter. Danny had been chosen for his calm personality and experience in difficult negotiations. "Captain," called out Communications Officer Pete Hayes from his station, "we're receiving a transmission on the frequency the first contact ship provided." Danny straightened in his command chair. Ambassador Helen Wright, Earth's most experienced diplomat, moved closer to the communications station. She had volunteered for this mission despite being in her 60s, knowing that humanity's future might depend on these first conversations. "Put it through," Danny ordered. The view screen flickered and showed what appeared to be a conference room filled with alien beings. At the center sat a tall, thin creature with blue-gray skin and large, dark eyes. When it spoke, the voice was calm and measured. "I am Council Speaker Dorvan. We represent the Galactic Council. We understand you are humans from the planet Earth." Helen stepped forward. "Speaker Dorvan, I am Ambassador Helen Wright. We're honored to meet with your council. We come seeking friendship and cooperation." There was a pause before Dorvan responded, and Helen noticed that several of the aliens in the background were whispering to each other urgently. "Ambassador Wright, your species presents us with an unusual situation. Our records indicate that humans should not have survived to achieve space travel. We must ask, how did your people avoid the elimination protocols?" Helen felt her blood run cold. "I'm sorry, but what elimination protocols? Our people have lived peacefully on Earth for thousands of years. We've never encountered any elimination protocols." The aliens on the screen began talking among themselves more loudly. Finally, Dorvan raised a hand for silence. "Perhaps there has been some confusion in our records. We would like to offer your species limited trade agreements and cultural exchange while we investigate this matter further." Captain Cooper frowned. Something about the aliens' behavior didn't feel right. They seemed nervous, almost guilty. "Ambassador," he whispered to Helen, "they're stalling. They know something they're not telling us." Helen nodded slightly and addressed the screen again. "Speaker Dorvan, we appreciate your offer of trade, but we're more interested in understanding our place in the galactic community. Could you tell us more about the history between our species?" "History?" Dorvan's large eyes seemed to widen. "There is no significant history between humans and the galactic community. Your species developed independently, as far as we know." But Helen had spent decades reading people, and she could tell when someone was lying even if they weren't human. "I see. Well then, perhaps you could share some general galactic history with us. We're eager to learn about the civilizations we'll be joining." "Of course," Dorvan said, but his voice sounded strained. "We will prepare historical records for you to study. In the meantime, we suggest keeping your explorations limited to nearby systems while we arrange proper diplomatic protocols." After the transmission ended, Helen turned to Captain Cooper with a worried expression. "Danny, they're hiding something big. Did you notice how they reacted when I mentioned joining galactic civilization?" "I noticed," Danny replied. "It's like they don't want us to join. They want us to stay quiet and out of the way." Back on Zirion Prime, a secret meeting was taking place in the depths of the archive complex. Chief Archivist Malden had gathered a small group of trusted allies in a chamber that had been sealed for 3,000 years. "The time has come to speak of the Silence Protocol," Malden announced, his crystalline body glowing dimly in the chamber's ancient light. Young council member Zara Eth leaned forward in her seat. She was one of the few beings in the galaxy who questioned the old ways, and she had always suspected that the official histories contained gaps. "Honored Archivist," she said, "I have studied the galactic records carefully. There are missing periods in our databases, times when entire star systems seem to have been forgotten." Malden nodded slowly. You are correct, young Zaraeth. The silence protocol was implemented during the Third Galactic Age, when our civilization encountered species that threatened the established order. Threatened how? Asked another council member. By existing, Muldoon replied simply. Some species developed too quickly, adapted too well, showed too much potential for disrupting the careful balance our ancestors had created. Rather than compete with these species or risk war, the council chose a different path. Zaraeth felt her hearts racing. They eliminated them. Not eliminated, Muldoon corrected. Silenced, erased from records, quarantined on their homeworlds, cut off from galactic civilization. The theory was that without contact with advanced technology, these species would remain primitive and harmless. And the humans? Muldoon activated an ancient holographic display that showed images of early human civilization. The beings in the room watched as primitive humans built tools, developed agriculture, and began to explore their world. 3,000 years ago, our scouts discovered Earth during a routine survey. What they found terrified the council. Humans were developing at an unprecedented rate. In just a few thousand years, they had gone from using stone tools to building complex societies. Their adaptability was unlike anything we had ever seen. The hologram showed more images, humans surviving in harsh environments that would kill most galactic species, humans developing new technologies and ideas at a rapid pace, humans showing remarkable cooperation despite their differences. The council feared that if humans joined galactic civilization, they would quickly surpass all other species. So they implemented the silence protocol. All records of Earth were classified or destroyed. Monitoring stations were established to ensure humans remained isolated, and the rest of the galaxy was told that Earth had been cleansed of life. Zaraeth stood up abruptly. This is wrong. This is completely wrong. We've been living a lie for 3,000 years. Yes, Muldoon agreed sadly. And now the humans have achieved space travel on their own. They've broken out of their cage, and the council must decide what to do about it. On Earth, Dr. Susan Clark was studying the recordings from both contact missions when she noticed something strange. She was humanity's leading expert on ancient civilizations, and she had a talent for spotting patterns that others missed. There's something here, she muttered to herself as she reviewed the alien communications. The way they speak about our history, it's like they know more than they're saying. She pulled up star charts and began comparing them with the locations where alien ships had been spotted. Slowly, a pattern emerged. There were certain areas of space where humans had never been able to get clear sensor readings, areas that seemed to have some kind of interference. Oh my God, Susan whispered as the realization hit her. We've been watched. They've been watching us all along. She immediately contacted Earth Command with her findings. Within hours, Commander Rick Stone was leading a military reconnaissance mission to investigate the mysterious interference zones Susan had identified. What they found changed everything. Hidden throughout human space were sophisticated monitoring stations, clearly alien in design and obviously ancient. The technology was so advanced that human sensors had barely been able to detect it. Command, Rick reported back to Earth. We've found at least 12 monitoring stations so far. Some of them look like they've been here for thousands of years. We haven't just made first contact with aliens. They've been studying us our entire history. As the truth began to emerge, both humans and their alien contacts realized that the galaxy was about to change forever. Commander Tony Garcia floated in zero gravity outside his ship, carefully examining the alien monitoring station they had discovered hidden in the asteroid belt near Mars. The device was beautiful in a strange way, with smooth curves and surfaces that seemed to shift color in the starlight. But Tony knew this beauty hid something sinister. Garcia to base, he spoke into his helmet communicator. This thing has been watching us for a very long time. The technology is so advanced I can barely understand how it works. Back on Earth, engineer Paula Martinez was studying the data Tony's team had collected from several monitoring stations. She had always been good with technology, but this alien equipment was like nothing she had ever seen before. The power source alone was beyond human understanding. Commander Garcia, Paula's voice crackled through the communication system. I've been analyzing the data streams from these stations. They've been recording everything, every television broadcast, every internet communication, every military transmission. They know more about us than we know about ourselves. Tony felt anger building in his chest as he looked at the sleek device floating in front of him. So much for first contact being accidental. They've been studying us like insects in a jar. Meanwhile, on the research station New Hope near Jupiter, Dr. Martin Webb was conducting experiments that would change how humans saw themselves. Martin had volunteered to test the differences between human and alien biology, after the council had shared some basic medical information. The alien scientist working with him, Dr. Felnor, was a tall being with green skin and 3 eyes. Felnor had been curious about humans ever since the first contact reports arrived. What he discovered during their tests shocked both of them. Dr. Webb, Felnor said, his voice filled with amazement, "Your body temperature readings are impossible. The atmospheric pressure in this chamber would kill most galactic species, but you're not even uncomfortable." Martin checked his instruments and shrugged. "Feels normal to me. Maybe a little warm, but nothing I can't handle." Felnor adjusted the chamber's settings, making the air thinner and colder. "How about now?" "Still fine," Martin replied, breathing. Normally, while Felnor's equipment showed that the conditions would be lethal to his own species. Lieutenant Colonel Nancy Foster was conducting her own tests in another part of the station when an emergency alarm began blaring. A malfunction in the station's life support system had created a toxic atmosphere leak in one of the main corridors. "All personnel evacuate Sector 7 immediately," came the announcement over the station's speakers. "Atmospheric contamination detected. Fatal exposure risk." Nancy was closest to the affected area when she heard someone calling for help from inside the contaminated zone. Without thinking, she grabbed an emergency breathing mask and ran into the toxic corridor. She found Dr. Felnor collapsed on the floor, his breathing equipment damaged and his green skin turning pale. "I've got you," Nancy said, lifting the much larger alien scientist and carrying him toward safety. The toxic gases burned her eyes and throat, but she pushed through the pain and got both of them to the medical bay. Dr. Felnor was unconscious for 2 hours. When he woke up, he found Nancy sitting beside his bed, reading a book and looking perfectly healthy. "Lieutenant Colonel Foster," Felnor whispered, "you were exposed to those toxins for over 10 minutes. You should be dead." Nancy looked up from her book and smiled. "I had a headache for about an hour, but I'm fine now. How are you feeling?" Felnor stared at her in disbelief. The atmospheric analysis showed poison levels that would kill any known galactic species within seconds. Yet you survived long enough to rescue me and carry me to safety. "Well," Nancy said, "humans are pretty tough. We've had to be, living on Earth. Our planet has tried to kill us in just about every way possible, over the millions of years we've been there." Word of Nancy's survival spread quickly through the galactic community. Captain Steve Martinez, leading a joint human-alien exploration mission to a newly discovered planet, found himself facing similar situations where human crew members could survive conditions that hospitalized their alien colleagues. The planet they were exploring had extreme weather patterns and an atmosphere that was barely breathable for most species. While the alien crew members had to wear full environmental suits, the human team worked in simple breathing masks. "Captain Martinez," said the mission's alien commander Zeftal, "your people are operating in conditions that my species considers extremely hazardous, yet you seem comfortable." Steve wiped sweat from his forehead and grinned. "This reminds me of summer in Arizona, actually. Hot and dry, but not too bad." Zeftal checked his instruments again. "Captain, the temperature is 50 degrees Celsius. The humidity is near zero. The atmospheric pressure is 60% of Earth normal. My people would die in these conditions without full life support." "Different evolution, I guess," Steve replied. "Humans evolved to survive in all kinds of environments. Our ancestors lived through ice ages, droughts, floods, volcanic eruptions, you name it. The ones who couldn't adapt didn't survive to have children." These reports of human adaptability were reaching the Galactic Council just as Admiral Chris Johnson was preparing Earth's defenses. Chris had spent his entire career in the military, and his instincts told him that humanity was heading for trouble. General Morrison, Chris said to his aide, I want every available ship moved to defensive positions around our colonies. I don't like how nervous these aliens get whenever they talk about humans. Sir, General Morrison replied, our intelligence reports suggest that not all the galactic factions are hostile. Some seem genuinely interested in peaceful contact. Maybe so, Chris said. But the ones in charge are scared of us. Scared people do stupid things. And when you're dealing with technology thousands of years more advanced than ours, stupid things can get us all killed. On Zarion Prime, Council member Zaraeth was having secret meetings with other young council members who questioned the old ways. They met in abandoned sections of the great city, places where the surveillance systems couldn't monitor their conversations. The evidence is clear, Zaraeth told her small group of allies. Humans are not just surviving contact with galactic civilization, they're thriving. Every report shows them adapting to conditions that would challenge our most advanced species. A young Kethran warrior named Torval spoke up. My people respect strength and adaptability. These humans have both. Why does the council fear them? Because, answered an elderly scholar named Yixphone, the council's power depends on keeping things exactly as they are. If humans join galactic civilization and prove that rapid advancement is possible, other species might start asking why they've been held back for so long. Zaraeth nodded. The silence protocol wasn't just about humans. It was about maintaining control. How many other species have been silenced over the centuries? How many innovations have been suppressed? How many peoples have been forgotten? There, discussions were interrupted by urgent news from across the galaxy. Executor Thanemore, leader of the Council's conservative faction, had called for an emergency session. The topic was the human problem and the need for immediate action. Dr. Sandra Clark, back on Earth, was analyzing historical records that the aliens had shared as part of their limited cultural exchange. What she found sent chills down her spine. There are gaps everywhere, she told her research team. Entire star systems that appear in ancient records but are missing from modern databases. Civilizations that are mentioned briefly and then never spoken of again. Her assistant, Dr. Paul Green, pulled up a star chart on their main screen. Sandra, look at this. I've been mapping the missing civilizations and there's a pattern. They all showed rapid technological development before they disappeared from the records. Sandra felt pieces of a terrible puzzle clicking into place. They didn't disappear, Paul. They were silenced, just like humanity was supposed to be. She immediately contacted Earth Command with her findings. Within hours, the information was being shared with human diplomatic teams throughout the galaxy. The truth was becoming clear. Humanity hadn't been the first species to face the silence protocol, and they wouldn't be the last if the conservative faction of the Galactic Council had their way. As reports continued to flow in about human adaptability and the growing evidence of systematic suppression of innovative species, both sides began preparing for a confrontation that would determine not just humanity's fate, but the future of galactic civilization itself. The age of silence was ending, and what came next would depend on whether courage and truth could overcome fear and control. The first attack came without warning. Commander Lucy Evans was having her morning coffee on New Terra Colony when the sky suddenly filled with alien warships. The sleek vessels of the Vorth Collective descended through the atmosphere like silver daggers, their weapons already charging for bombardment. All civilians to emergency shelters immediately, Lucy shouted into her communicator as she ran toward the colony's command center. This is not a drill. We are under attack. The Vorth had expected an easy victory. Their intelligence reports described humans as a primitive species that had barely achieved spaceflight. They planned to destroy the human colonies quickly and claimed that the attacks were necessary to protect galactic security. But humans had spent their entire history learning to survive against impossible odds. Lucy reached the command center just as the first energy blasts struck the colony's outer buildings. Status report, she called out to her staff. 12 Vorth ships in orbit, reported Communications Officer Dave Wilson. They're targeting our power grid and communication arrays. Classic siege tactics. Lucy studied the tactical display on the main screen. The enemy ships were positioned exactly where military textbooks said they should be for a bombardment campaign. But textbooks assumed your enemy would fight like everyone else. Dave, send a message to all colony defense teams. Tell them to implement Crazy Ivan protocols. Dave looked confused. Ma'am, Crazy Ivan protocols aren't in any of our standard manuals. Lucy smiled grimly. That's the point. The aliens have been studying our military communications for thousands of years. They know our standard tactics, but they don't know the things we make up on the spot. Crazy Ivan was something Lucy had invented during training exercises back on Earth. Instead of defending fixed positions like military doctrine suggested, her teams would split into small groups and attack from unexpected directions using guerrilla tactics. Within minutes, human defense teams were moving through the colony's underground tunnel system, carrying portable weapons and explosive charges. While the Vorth ships focused their bombardment on empty defensive positions, the real defenders were already moving to strike back. Team Alpha, hit their landing zone from the east, Lucy coordinated through secure short-range communicators. Team Beta, take out their communication relay. Team Charlie, I want you to make some noise on the south side to draw their attention. The Vorth ground forces had landed expecting to face a traditional defensive army lined up behind protective barriers. Instead, they found empty buildings and booby traps. Human defenders appeared from sewers, rooftops, and hidden tunnels, struck hard and disappeared before the aliens could respond. Captain Ray Thompson was commanding the human fleet response from his ship, the Defiant. When the emergency signal from New Terra reached him, he was 3 hours away at maximum speed. By the time he arrived, the battle should have been over with the colony destroyed. Instead, he found the Vorth fleet in complete chaos. Captain, reported his tactical officer, Lieutenant Sarah Kim, the Vorth ships are firing at random targets on the planet's surface. Their formation has completely broken down. Ray studied the tactical display with amazement. They're panicking. Sarah, how is that possible? They have superior numbers and technology. Sir, I'm picking up communication intercepts from the Vorth fleet. They're reporting massive casualties and coordinated resistance from multiple directions. They can't figure out where the humans are attacking from next. On the planet below, Lucy's teams had managed to capture one of the Vorth landing shuttles intact. Engineer Mike Rodriguez was studying the alien technology with the help of Dr. Jennifer Lee, a physicist who had joined the colony's research team. This is incredible, Mike said as he examined the shuttle's control systems. Their technology is thousands of years ahead of ours, but it's built for species that think in predictable patterns. Look at this navigation system. It can only plot courses along predetermined flight paths. Jennifer nodded as she analyzed the shuttle's defensive systems. Their shields are designed to stop energy weapons and projectiles coming from expected angles, but Lucy's people have been attacking with improvised explosives from directions the shields can't protect. It's like they've never fought an enemy that didn't follow the rules, Mike realized. Back in space, Captain Ray decided to press his advantage. Sarah, what's the status of the alien fleet? They're regrouping, sir, but their formation is still unstable. I think we can take them. Ray's fleet was outnumbered 3-1, but the human ships had one advantage the aliens didn't expect. Human crews had trained for scenarios where they would face superior technology by using unpredictable tactics and rapid adaptation. All ships, implement Thompson's gambit, Ray ordered. Sir, came the voice of Captain Beth Martinez from the cruiser Liberty. Thompson's gambit isn't a real tactical maneuver. It is now, Ray replied. All ships scatter and attack individual targets using independent tactics. Don't follow any standard patterns. Make it up as you go along. The human fleet broke formation and attacked the Vorth ships from every direction at once. Each human captain used different tactics, making it impossible for the aliens to predict what would happen next. Captain Beth Martinez used her ship's superior maneuverability to get close to a Vorth cruiser and target its weapon systems at point-blank range. Captain Frank Davis used his ship's powerful engines to ram an alien vessel, then used emergency thrusters to escape before the enemy could respond. Within 2 hours, the Vorth fleet was retreating toward deep space, their mission a complete failure. The news of the human victory spread across the galaxy within days. Species that had been neutral in the growing conflict began to take notice. The Kethron, a warrior people who respected courage above all else, sent a delegation to meet with human leaders. "Your people fight with honor," declared Catherine War Chief Bractor during his meeting with Admiral Grace Miller on the space station Freedom. "My warriors would be honored to stand beside humans in battle." Admiral Miller, a veteran of many Earth conflicts, understood the importance of this offer. "War Chief Bractor, we welcome any alliance based on mutual respect and shared values. The Vorth Collective believes strength comes from superior technology and following ancient tactics," Bractor explained. "But true strength comes from the spirit of the warrior and the ability to adapt when facing the unexpected." Other species were also beginning to question the Galactic Council's policies. Dr. Carl Martinez, working on the Joint Research Station Unity, was developing new technologies by combining human creativity with alien scientific knowledge. The breakthrough came when we stopped trying to copy alien technology and started improving it, Carl explained to his mixed human-alien research team. "Humans think differently. We don't just ask how something works, we ask how it could work better." His team had developed new shield systems that were more flexible than traditional alien designs, and weapons that could adapt their energy patterns in real time to overcome enemy defenses. The mysterious figure known as the Keeper was also making contact with human representatives. Commander Tim Davis received an encrypted message directing him to meet at a seemingly empty star system. When Tim's ship arrived at the coordinates, a hidden space station materialized out of what had appeared to be empty space. The technology was unlike anything humans had seen before, even more advanced than the Galactic Council's equipment. "Welcome, Commander Davis," came a voice over his ship's communication system. "I am the Keeper. I have been waiting for your species to join the Resistance for 3,000 years." Tim was escorted to a vast chamber filled with representatives from dozens of species he had never seen before. Some looked familiar from galactic databases, but others were completely unknown. "Who are you?" Tim asked the Keeper, a tall figure, whose features were hidden behind advanced holographic camouflage. "I am the last survivor of the Vordani, the first species to be silenced by the Galactic Council 5,000 years ago," the Keeper replied. "Since then, I have been gathering other survivors and descendants of silenced species. We have been waiting for a species strong enough to challenge the Council's authority." The Keeper gestured to the assembled beings. "These are the forgotten peoples of the galaxy, species that were too innovative, too adaptable, or too independent for the Council's comfort. Your humans are not the first to face the silence protocol, but you may be the first with the strength to end it." Tim looked around the chamber, seeing the hope in dozens of different alien faces. "What do you need from us?" "Your people have something the galaxy has forgotten," the Keeper explained. "The courage to fight against impossible odds and the creativity to find new solutions to old problems. Together, we can free the galaxy from 3,000 years of stagnation and fear." As Tim prepared to return to human space with this new knowledge, both sides began mobilizing for the larger conflict that was now inevitable. The small victory at New Terra had proven that humans could not be easily conquered, but it had also convinced the conservative faction of the Galactic Council that humanity posed an existential threat to their way of life. The galaxy was choosing sides, and the outcome would determine whether innovation and freedom would triumph over control and fear. The final battle began at dawn on Zirion Prime. Admiral Kate Phillips stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Earth's Pride, watching as hundreds of ships from dozens of species moved into position around the Galactic Council's capital world. After months of fighting across the galaxy, everything would be decided here. "Admiral," reported Captain Bob Wilson from the communications station, "all resistance fleets are in position. The Kethran warships are ready on our left flank. The Keeper's hidden fleet just decloaked on our right. We have ships from 37 different species ready to fight." Kate looked at the massive space station that housed the Galactic Council. For 3,000 years, that station had been the center of power in the galaxy. Today, that would change. "Send a message to all ships," Kate ordered. "Today we fight not just for humanity, but for every species that has been silenced, forgotten, or held back. Today we end the age of fear." On the planet below, Dr. Mary Johnson was working in a field hospital that treated wounded from all species. Her medical innovations, Combining human techniques with alien technology had saved thousands of lives during the war. Even soldiers from enemy factions had started asking for human medics when they were wounded. Dr. Johnson called out, "Nurse Patricia Brown, we have incoming casualties from the space battle. Mixed species wounded." Mary wiped her hands and prepared for another long day. "Set up triage stations. Remember, we treat everyone equally. Kethran, Vorth, human, doesn't matter. They're all just people who need help." A wounded Vorth soldier was brought in, his blue blood flowing from multiple injuries. As Mary worked to save his life, the soldier looked up at her with confusion. "Why?" he whispered in broken English. "Why do you help me? I am your enemy." Mary continued working on his wounds without looking up. "Because that's what humans do. We help people who are hurt, even if they were trying to hurt us 5 minutes ago." The soldier stared at her in amazement. "The council told us humans were dangerous monsters who would destroy galactic civilization." "Well," Mary said with a slight smile, "we are pretty dangerous. But we're only monsters to people who try to keep others in cages." In space, the battle was reaching its climax. Commander Jack Stevens led a squadron of mixed human and alien fighters against the Council's defensive fleet. The human pilots had taught their alien squadron mates new tactics that confused the enemy. "Stevens to all fighters," Jack called over the communication system. "Remember, they expect us to attack their strongest point, because that's what military doctrine says. So we're going to hit them where they least expect it." The combined fighter squadrons broke off from the main battle and attacked the space station's docking bays, where civilian and diplomatic ships were trying to evacuate council leaders. Instead of destroying the ships, the fighters forced them to stay docked, preventing the council leadership from escaping. Captain Sam Rogers was leading the ground assault on the station itself. His mixed species team had trained together for months, learning to combine human adaptability with alien technologies and abilities. "Rogers to assault teams," Sam transmitted as his ship docked with the station. "Remember the mission. We're here to capture council leaders, not to hurt innocent people. Most of the beings on this station are just government workers doing their jobs." The assault teams moved through the station's corridors with precision and care. When they encountered resistance, they used non-lethal weapons and tactics designed to disable rather than kill. This approach confused the station's defenders, who had expected a brutal assault. Admiral Nick Taylor was coordinating the defense of Earth while the main battle raged at Zerion Prime. Intelligence reports suggested that conservative council factions might try to attack humanity's homeworld as a last desperate act. "Admiral," reported Lieutenant Susan Green from the sensor station, "we have incoming ships. It's a large Vorth fleet heading straight for Earth." Nick studied the tactical display. The enemy fleet was massive, probably carrying enough firepower to devastate Earth's surface. "All defensive fleets move to intercept. We cannot let them reach our planet." But as the fleets closed on each other, something unexpected happened. The Vorth ships began transmitting surrender signals. "Admiral Taylor," came a transmission from the lead Vorth ship. "This is Fleet Commander Zekthal. We request permission to defect to the Human Alliance." Nick was stunned. "Commander Zekthal, did you just say defect?" "Yes, Admiral. My crews have been monitoring human communication channels during this war. We have seen how your people treat prisoners and wounded enemies. We have seen your medical team saving the lives of Vorth soldiers. We no longer wish to fight for a government that told us humans were monsters when clearly you are more honorable than we were led to believe." Back on Zerion Prime, Dr. Patricia Brown was making a breakthrough that would change galactic science forever. Working in a research lab aboard the Keeper's station, she had developed a new communication technology that could transmit messages instantly across the entire galaxy. "Keeper," Patricia called excitedly. "The quantum entanglement communicator is working. We can now coordinate with resistance cells on every world simultaneously." The Keeper's holographic disguise flickered with what might have been excitement. "Dr. Brown, this technology will revolutionize galactic civilization. No more delays in communication between star systems. No more isolation of distant worlds." "There's more," Patricia continued. "The communication system can be built using materials that every species in the galaxy can produce. We're not creating another technology that only advanced species can use. We're creating something that will help everyone. The news of Patricia's invention spread through the Resistance fleet just as the battle was reaching its conclusion. Council Speaker Dorvan, the same alien who had met with humanity's first diplomatic mission, requested a meeting with Admiral Phillips. Admiral Phillips, Dorvan said during the communication link, the Council wishes to discuss terms of surrender. Kate felt a mixture of relief and satisfaction. Speaker Dorvan, we're prepared to negotiate, but our terms are simple. The silence protocol must be abolished forever. All suppressed species must be welcomed back into galactic civilization. And the new government must be democratic, with representation for all species. Those terms are acceptable, Dorvan replied quickly. The conservative faction has been voted out of power by the remaining council members. We realize now that our policies of suppression and control have weakened the galaxy rather than strengthening it. 6 months later, President Lisa Anderson stood before the new Galactic Assembly on the rebuilt Xerion Prime. She had been elected Earth's first planetary president, specifically to represent humanity in the new galactic government. Representatives of the galaxy, Lisa addressed the massive assembly hall filled with beings from hundreds of different species. Today, we establish a new charter based on the principle that diversity makes us stronger, not weaker. The new Galactic Federation was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Instead of being controlled by a small group of powerful species, every world had representation based on its population. Decisions were made democratically, with extensive debate and discussion. Dr. Greg Thompson had been chosen to lead the new Galactic Science Exchange, where researchers from all species shared their knowledge freely. For too long, Greg told his diverse team of scientists, we've hidden our discoveries from each other out of fear. Now we can accomplish things that no single species could achieve alone. The former monitoring stations around Earth were converted into research facilities and cultural centers. Commander Sarah Martinez established the Museum of Forgotten Peoples in one of the largest stations, dedicated to preserving the history of every species that had been silenced over the millennia. Never again, Sarah said during the museum's opening ceremony, will a species be erased from history because someone in power was afraid of change. Dr. Mike Davis led the first missions to rediscover lost colonies and hidden civilizations throughout the galaxy. His exploration teams found dozens of species that had been living in secret, afraid to reveal themselves to the galactic community. You don't have to hide anymore, Mike told each group they found. The galaxy has changed. There's room for everyone now. The transformation wasn't immediate or easy. Centuries of control and suppression had created deep problems that would take generations to fix. But for the first time in galactic history, there was hope for real progress. On a distant frontier world, Captain Jennifer Lewis commanded the exploration vessel Unity, the first ship crewed entirely by volunteers from dozens of different species. Her mission was to explore the unknown regions beyond the galaxy's edge, searching for new life and new civilizations. Captain's log, Jennifer, recorded as her ship headed toward uncharted space, we are beginning humanity's greatest adventure, not as conquerors or rulers, but as partners with our galactic neighbors. We carry with us the promise that no species will ever again be forgotten by design. The ship disappeared into hyperspace, carrying its diverse crew toward whatever wonders awaited them among the stars. Behind them, the galaxy continued its transformation from a place of fear and control to one of cooperation and hope. The age of silence was over. The age of unity had begun.